What's up, Insoms? I hope y'all are having a good Friday. Um, Not gonna talk too much again today. Longer than yesterday, probably about 15-20 minutes today. Um, Biggest news for today for us was our combat brother Baker passed away after his long fight with cancer. He was diagnosed 2 years ago with terminal cancer at 27 years old, probably 27-ish. Gave him less than a year to live, and he fought to today. And like I said in a previous video, we had our combat brothers there by his side till he took his final breath, which is just special, very special. And yeah, we lost a good man today. So for Baker, gonna be doing some more of this special occasionness for our combat brother that we lost today. But you know, there's gonna be things in this life that I pursue, and it's going to be an interesting next few years. So I'm glad I started this channel because I do a lot of reflecting about what I talk about on here. And earlier, I have a sister who's 8 years older than me, and we're not very close. Never have been, and likely never will be, because she was doing her own thing too while we were there, kind of both alone. And yeah, and I was thinking about how in my life, when I was in high school, I lived with my dad, and he was never around, and how I could basically do whatever I wanted. And my sister kind of went through that same exact thing with my mom. We lived with my mom. I mean, I was in junior high. I was in, you know, starting in the 6th grade, right? Let's see. Yeah, so basically I was in the 6th grade. My sister was a senior probably because of our age gap. And yeah, and she was just doing whatever she wanted, and my mom was doing whatever she wanted, and I was doing whatever I wanted. And I mean, I was in fucking junior high. And so, like I was saying, you know, my sister in a sense went through the same thing with my mom. I mean, my mom of course was around more than my dad, cared more than my dad. You know, basically my dad was an addict, so he didn't care about shit, and my mom just cared about hanging out with her boyfriends and going to Mexico and living her life. And yeah, so it was really weird for me to think about how we kind of had a similar experience, but with a different parent, essentially. And yeah, so, you know, my sister has her issues. Excuse me. I forgot my tea today. It's okay, it's not going to be a very long cast. So yeah, you know, like I said, I was just talking about all this stuff and thinking about it throughout the day, and just kind of started to reflect on that stuff, and I thought about, wow, and I never thought about it that way, and I probably never would have had I started these podcasts. So, you know, there is purpose behind them, and they do seem to be kind of working, I guess. And so yeah, glad it's even just 12 episodes in, showing me different perspectives and thinking about things in a different way. But for our good man Baker, rest in peace, brother. You fought more valiantly than most ever could. You're going to inspire a lot of people. You did inspire a lot of people, and you're going to continue to inspire a lot of people when they learn of your story and how you never gave up, man. You just kept fighting. So for you, Baker, salute, brother. Never gonna stop fighting for you to be properly awarded that Purple Heart. And you probably think, what does it matter? What significance does it have? It has a major significance because the benefits his daughter will receive are astounding. And the man earned this shit, so he deserves it. Yeah, that was a good hit. So, I guess another thing I'll talk about real quick that like I said, I can't help but think that it was something in the military that gave Baker cancer, because I mean, such a young, strong, I mean, I know it happens to kids and babies, but a lot of times it's just like your normal run-of-the-mill cancer, and he caught a super rare type where less than 15,000 people have ever got it. And the stuff they exposed us to with the anthrax shot, the malaria pills that they now know fuck with your brain, the smallpox shot, who knows what the fuck other shots they've given us, and what other stuff they were making them take, or the kind of stuff they were exposed to. Such a shame. Yeah, it's just been and like I said yesterday, I talked to a good friend, and he seemed really interested in my idea for my patent. So we were talking, reminiscing, and talking about the future, talking about the present. A good friend of his died in a car accident because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. And yeah, and even if he would have lived, he would have been completely changed for his rest of his life. It's just, it's crazy how you don't think, there's many instances that I know of whether that be for legal purposes, um, and just whatever. Basically what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of times in my life that I know that I got lucky. Got very lucky. And you just never know whenever it's your time. So it's like they say, you're living on borrowed time. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid. I've lived a life afraid too long. My whole childhood I was afraid. And I think that's how the military turned me into such a monster. Because my whole life I was afraid. And in the military I learned how to be fearless, which showed me to myself. And now I'm not afraid of anything. And now I feel that I can do anything. And I want everybody to feel that way too, because everybody should feel that way. There's nothing special about me. You just have to have a very strong mind. And I didn't always have that. And there are days that I don't have that. And that's okay. We all, because at the end of the day, I know that even if I'm down in the dumps, feeling like it's the worst day ever, that it's kind of just temporary, things are going to get better. And they're only going to get better if you work towards making them get better. And the only way to do that is to put yourself out there, man. I was really good at basketball, at street ball, in high school. And it sucks. I'm really good at spinning a basketball on my finger because that's all I could do in my ranch growing up. I didn't have anywhere without rocks and a real good surface to dribble. At my dad's brother's house next door, there was a basketball hoop and a nice little court set up. But I never felt wanted over there, so I never really went. And I always got the feeling that none of us were ever really wanted over there, because none of us ever really went over there. It's kind of weird to think that you have close family that live 150 yards away and you don't go see them every day. Like, we basically stayed isolated. It was such an ugly situation, such an ugly environment. So yeah, I mean, the little bit of time I put in, man, I was a monster. I was pretty damn good. And like when I was in PE in high school, because I basically just played one sport a year. My freshman year I played, I'm not remembering right now because I'm stoned. Fuck. Was it? Yeah, it was baseball. I tried to play baseball, but I flunked out, so I didn't get to play. And my sophomore year, I played football. And my junior year, I played basketball. if you want to call it that. And my senior year, I tried to play baseball again, but they wouldn't let me because I didn't play the year before, which is really dumb. I mean, they should just, if they don't want to give you a letterman, because the rule is if you're a senior, you got to play varsity. And they're like, well, it wouldn't be fair to the others if you just made varsity because you're a senior. And it's like, well, why not? I mean, I could, if I made varsity just because I'm a senior and there are other guys that are on varsity, just start them over me because, yeah, just use your brain. Anyway, that was a problem with the coaches. They didn't use their brains. I remember what really killed it for me in the sports in the town was when I was a sophomore playing football, which was really my first year of organized sports, because I was too small in junior high. I tried my 7th grade year to play football, but I was just too small. And so I didn't play anything in junior high because my life was in shambles and nobody cared about anything and it's whatever. But so, and like I said, my freshman year I failed out of baseball. In my sophomore year, so I played football, and there was one play, this I'll never forget, and this completely deflated me forever because this is how I was kind of in high school. There was one play, I was a wide receiver, and I was basically the third option, and we ran the play, and immediately I was wide open, completely open on the right side of the field, probably nobody within 30 yards of me, or okay, maybe not that far, like 15 yards of me, 20 yards from me, and I'm out there like, just like, hey, like I'm out here by myself, and the ball didn't come my way. It went the other way, and I was like, damn, that sucks, wide fucking open. I very rarely get opportunities, whatever. And so after that play, I get one play where I didn't do nothing but stand there with my hands spread out because there was nobody to hit because he immediately ran away, which I guess he had the blitz, cornerback blitz or something, I don't know. Anyways, and I went to the sideline and I immediately told our coach, and I was like, hey coach, that play we just ran, I was wide open, backside, and you should run it again, you should do it, and I was just like, hey coach, I was open, hey, and like, hey, I was trying to get his attention because he wasn't acknowledging me, and I was just trying to help the team by letting him know that, hey man, that play we just ran, I was wide the fuck open. Run it again when you see that defense, or do something coach-wide, and he basically just snapped at me. He was just like, okay, like just really rude, and I was like, damn, I'm just trying to help the team, like I'm not telling you to put me back in there and throw the ball to me every time, just, hey, just letting you know, if you didn't see that, I was wide the fuck open. And so after that, I was just like, fuck these guys, And I didn't have an outlet anymore because I loved band. I was really good at band. I was a beast on the trumpet, and then they moved me to French horn, and that made me mad. And I'll say that story for another time. But then when we got to high school, everybody in high school band had to march. And they wanted you to show up like an hour and a half before school started to go out in there and march. And the way my life worked, that wasn't happening. They were lucky for me to get up and make it to school in time. And yeah, so the one thing I enjoyed and that I was good at, I was always top 3 chairs, I'd say. I was always one of the better ones. Can't always be number 1, on the day of the test to get the chairs, sometimes you have an off day. But I was definitely one of the better ones, and enjoyed it, loved it. I miss being able to read music and play music. But I'm gonna wrap it up with this, guys. Just gonna, I'm starting it a little bit later than normal. I spent time with the wife and let her fall asleep before coming down here and doing this thing. 'Cause like I said, no matter what, I'm gonna hop on and say what's up. So in Psalms, I'll catch you on the flip. Rest in peace, Baker. And yeah, talk to you guys tomorrow.